Hello, Yassine. Welcome to the fourth edition of the Data 2020 Summit here in Stockholm. We're pleased to have you and Vertica as one of our partners. So before we go on, can you please tell us more about your background, yourself, your organization?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for the invitation. I'm very happy to be here with you in Stockholm. So a little bit about my background is I've been always working with data for the past 25 years. Started both in academia, private research, but at that time we were mainly working on algorithms, so still machine learning algorithms at that time, but looking at them from the inside because we didn't have too much data. So we were looking at how to improve the algorithms in order to get the best accuracy and precision with a small amount of data. So collecting the data and having data to learn from was very expensive. I was far from thinking that today we will have
This
huge
amount of
data. So we are not working on the algorithms anymore, but we are working now more on defining the problems, on framing the problems in terms of machine learning, and on engineering the features that will be fed to the machine learning algorithm. So this is the role of the data scientist today, right? And getting some outputs and building a nice story around the outputs. So this is how things have been evolved. So to summarize, I've been working with data for the past 25 years in different capacity, but now we can say that I'm really in big data. And currently I'm working for Vertica. I'm running field engineering worldwide. And the charter of my team is pretty simple. We help customers become data-driven. Okay, so we provide in the field advices to both greenfield customers, so make sure that they establish from the very beginning a modern data architecture that includes Vertica, of course, but also that leverages the best practices that we as Vertica field engineers have harvested from leading data companies across the globe. Okay. And we have also second category of customers, so customers with legacy. And with those customers, we engage into a re-architecture of their existing ecosystem to make it more flexible and more aligned with their business need, not only today's business needs, but also to make sure that it is evolvable to address future needs.
Yassine, today, during this summit, modern data platforms were mentioned a lot, and there will be actually quite a lot discussions about that. So what are the main challenges with the existing technology which relates to the modern data platforms?
Okay, yeah, very interesting question. So yeah, modern is a new buzzword.
Yes.
I remember in the 80s it was new age, right, type of things. But I would answer your question by looking at existing data platform from three perspectives. But before getting into that, I'd like to make sure that we are talking, we have the right context. So we talk about modern data platform for analytics workload, and not transactional workload.
Yes.
This is another completely different word. So I mentioned three categories, and these three categories are also the evolution of those platforms, a kind of little history.
Yes, sure.
I'm going to provide you. So let's rewind a little bit where the first, let's say, performance issues started to appear. Okay, industries or customers were always, building business intelligence stacks based on the transactional data they were collecting, which in most of the case was related to sales, and even in some very highly transactional industries, the volume of data was pretty small. So they could use any database with the right ETL, the right business intelligence tool, and they can build their BI platform. Suddenly, some industries experienced what they call at that time big data, and they got the first performance hit. And these were mainly banking and telco. Because of the nature of their transaction, they generate a lot of data. So then some new platform at that time started to emerge that we today call legacy appliances. But they are literally dying today. And if not dying, they are being decommissioned. It's really a software and hardware architecture that are tied with each other. This is why we call them appliance. They are very expensive, and they provided some value to customers at that time, but they are no longer appropriate for the volume of data and the analytics workload that are dictated by modern applications. After that came the open source wave, very much known and represented by Hadoop and data lakes. So everybody is saying, okay, we have the Holy Grail, it's cool, let's do it. And customers ended up bringing all of their data into Hadoop, just to notice that actually it's not a data lake, but it's a data jail, because they can load the data in it, no problem, but they're having a hard time analyzing this data, again, because of a performance issue. So Hadoop ended up not disrupting the analytics market, but disrupting the storage market with their HDFS. But even today, they are challenged because there are new type of storage, so object storage, either on premise or in the cloud, and best represented by S3 on AWS. But also the on-premise object storage are seeking compatibility with S3. And finally, some new entrants, although they could be modern from a pure software architecture, they are born in the cloud, and therefore we can look at them as new appliances. Because again, when we talk about appliances, when there is a tight relationship between the software and the underlying infrastructure, and those are really built for the cloud. You cannot run them on premise, and not everybody is willing to go to the cloud. And add to that the fact that they are sometimes fully managed and maybe opaque, and customers have little ability to further tune their system. It's good maybe for customers that are manipulating a couple of terabytes of data. It's a kind of analytics as a side business. But for real data-driven companies, they would like their data platform to be part of the top-tier infrastructure. Okay? Vertica is here to fill all of the gaps that have been introduced by these three waves. So the first one, Vertica is filling this gap because Vertica is software only and can run on commodity hardware versus expensive appliances, and we are very much TCO friendly. For the second wave, we decided really to embrace the open source effort. So we are integrated with Hadoop, North and South, with Kafka, with Spark, and we work fine with all of those components. And Vertica can also work as a simple query engine on top of Hadoop, basically to take the data out of jail and start generating value out of it. And finally, with the third wave, we have also embraced the cloud from the very beginning, and we run on the three clouds, and we have also introduced a new innovation during the last couple of years to separate compute from storage so that you can scale independently the compute power to adapt to your workload, or you can increase also or scale the storage. You may have a lot of data, but you just need to analyze a portion of it each time, or vice versa. You have a pretty small amount of data, but you have heavy analytics on top of it. And today I'm proud also to announce that we are also the only platform that can run on-premise with full separation of compute and storage. And we have just announced that last week during the Accelerate conference with Pure, because we're in partnership with Pure Storage.
Yassine, I think you answered my next question. According to Gartner 2018 CEO and Senior Business Executive Survey, 81% of the CEOs have prioritized technology initiatives that enable them to acquire advanced analytics. And speaking of Vertica, I was going to ask you, how does it help accelerate in this area, for example, with the Vertica Advanced Analytics platform?
Yeah, so actually what CIOs and line of business managers are looking for, maybe they call it a platform, but maybe to make it a bit in simple words, they're looking for answers, actually. They're not looking for a platform. They would like
Okay.
to get answers to their questions. They would like to ask questions to all of their data and get fast and accurate answers. And above that, they would like to have interactivity. Interactivity is very important because you don't know the question that you would like to ask beforehand. So you need to get into an interaction with your data and refine your question as you get answers until you get it to the final question that will give you the final accurate answer that will eventually provide you the insight to drive your business. So Vertica is helping customers from all of those perspectives. So first of all, from a scale perspective, it loads all of the data that you can have in your company. Several customers are using Vertica as a consolidation platform. They have heterogeneous databases, so they decide to, and very much siloed, so they decide to bring all of the data from all of the different components into Vertica and then have a single pane of glass to interact with this data. It has the speed, because very often when you increase the volume of data, either you lose from a speed perspective, or if you'd like to keep up with speed, then you have to pay a lot of money to ensure that the infrastructure is following. So this is why sometimes we call Vertica that we don't compromise from a speed, scale, and TCO. So we bring also the interactivity. And finally, last but not least, we have also built in machine learning capabilities into Vertica, because when the CIOs or when the line of business managers are asking questions, those questions could be translated into maybe simple SQL statements, or it could be very complex predictive analytics. And whether you do predictive analytics, you need or not, you need to have quality data. You need to have data that is reflecting the reality, and you need to have data that is fully prepared in order to be fed, as I mentioned before, to the machine learning. The good news with Vertica is that we have implemented inside Vertica all of the major machine learning algorithms, and you can run them inside the platform. So there is no need to do a data movement, and no need to do any sampling. You can analyze or build a model based on the entire data that you have in Vertica, okay? Including the 80% of data preparation, which is mainly driven by SQL. You do it also in database. So you move from your raw data into a set of features that are very representative of the problem that you would like to tackle. And it's at that very moment that you build a model, and then you apply it.
Yassine, you delivered a presentation on the how-to stage, and the title is quite interesting. What did we learn from the innovative data-driven organizations, simplify the data pipeline, and delight end users with fast, advanced analytics? Can you please share,
title, huh?
Yeah, but it's good because it comes from experience, and those use cases honestly are something that is much required and much asked from our delegates. So congratulations on that. So can you please share with us some of the key points of your talk?
Yeah, sure. First of all, I would like to say that my team and I are very, very delighted and very lucky to have the opportunity to work with leading data-driven companies across the globe. Right. I have a slide with a bunch of them. We have a lot of companies in the ad tech business, like Criteo, Taboola, Outbrain. We have Uber. And things like that. All of these, they have indeed started as greenfield, but they have applied. Let's say they started with the right foot from the very beginning. Maybe not necessarily from the very beginning, but at the end they got it right. And anything that those companies are doing, because their bread and butter is eventually data. Data analytics is not an option for them. It's a must do in order to survive. And this is how they are disrupting their business. When you look at traditional companies, they have a legacy, and they should learn from those for whom data is really the oil. No, you've seen in the news that data is the new oil, so it's really true. So again, we have learned a lot from those companies, because we've had them build this their data architecture based on Vertica. And what we would like to do is eventually now to share those best practices. Because in the architectural world, you start with the first architecture, the second one, the third one, and then some patterns started to emerge. And when you start reapplying those patterns again and again, then they become best practices. So now anyone who would like to start a new data architecture to meet some business requirements as dictated by their field, they need to have some architecture, and we believe that we managed to capture some common patterns that would help them to get started very quickly and leverage Vertica appropriately from the very beginning. Not only Vertica, but also the entire let's say ecosystem that applies to modern data architectures.
One last question, Yassine. Can you talk more about the impact of making better decisions with this modern data platform?
Okay, so for sure there is an impact, right? Because as soon as you start making decisions based on data and not based on your gut feel, it's already an impact. I cannot quantify the X if it is 3, 10X, but there is definitely an impact. We have customers across many industries, from the ad tech business, where they can really target ads, for instance, know a lot about their customers in order to better push the right commercials or ad, and therefore there is an impact on their top line. To customers, for instance, the gaming company, they know a lot, and sometimes they find some very interesting insights inside the behavioral data that they're collecting about their customers. So in order to prevent churn, because loyalty is key in the gaming industry, otherwise they change, they go to another game. And one thing that for which I care a lot is anything that is, what you call data for the great good, right? Or really, literally changing the world. And here we have also customers in the healthcare, so we can save lives by analyzing data and making decisions based on data. We can save the planet as well. We have also customers who are monitoring the biodiversity and taking the appropriate preemptive actions based on data. And also we have customers in the social entrepreneurship that are also leveraging data to help entrepreneur in developing countries to become more autonomous and self-sufficient.
Yassine, thank you very much. It was a pleasure having you here with us. Thanks to you, thanks to Vertica for joining, and hopefully we will get to host you again
Absolutely.
in our
It was
future
my pleasure.
events.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.